Potter from Pittsburgh. A superhero. A mild-mannered man driving around in a funny-looking van that says good deeds, striking happiness in the hearts of hundreds. Are you not inspired by this man? You know, often we refer to people who do extraordinary tasks or deeds or behave out of the norm as heroes or heroines. But I want to ask you, at the core of John, is his essence any different than you and I? How many of you think it's different? How many of you think it's the same? How many of you are still sleeping? No, okay, the same.
Yet the same.
Okay. And that's a good point, and we'll look at that. Yeah, at the core, Donna's beautiful prayer exquisitely talked about if God is everything, then I too must be divine. And although we may show our divinity in different ways, our essence is of greatness. And so, what do you think allows John to be the handyman that he is, quote unquote? What is it?
His decision.
His choice, his decision.
He is confident within himself about what he is.
Yes. Yes, both of you. His choice and confidence. He's clear. He is clear about his purpose, and he is clear, his choice of purpose, and he is clear about his ability to be it. We heard his purpose. His purpose was to be a good neighbor. And he thought that to bring love to his neighbor.
More than State Farm would do.
More than State Farm. But in the seriousness of the truth of who we are, he knew that. And not only did he know it, but he had faith, conviction in his ability to be it, to live it. And when he speaks about being a good neighbor and to show up as love to our neighbor, we can look at pretty much all faith traditions or spiritual traditions. It's about being love in action, right? And in fact, we spoke about this actually for several weeks now. When Jesus spoke in Matthew, where he said that there are two great commandments. One, to love God with your whole heart, mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as thyself. That is the definition of oneness. It is being in alignment. It's not loving God out here, some Santa Claus figure. It is knowing that the mystery of the one, as in the Gospel of John, the lost Gospel of John, where John is recording a poem spoken by Jesus that I will be sharing when we do Principle 1 in the new year. But in essence, Jesus is speaking about the mysterious one we call God. No, it can't be God. It's Source. It's Father. It's this. No. He comes to the conclusion. It is light. Life-giving light. And that light is in everything and is meant to express, which can also be found in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 14. This is one of the most famous ones. I think many of you have heard this. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to the whole house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works. Let your light shine before others, so they may see your good works. This is not the boastful, grandiosity kind of sharing or being. It is the humility and power embodied together. John did not hide his light under a bushel basket. No, he put it on the lampstand where all could see. And so we know that our purpose is to love, to know the truth of our identity, to love the mysterious one, be at one mint with ourselves, to be at one mint with our neighbors, knowing that we all are the divine essence of light. So that is our purpose. And I spoke in the last couple of weeks that sometimes love, the word love, can contain a lot of baggage. It can mean like something. It means I love every behavior that I see. But love is that unifying power where we unify all of our thoughts, words, actions, and words to be in alignment with our highest consciousness, to be the light of the world. Our purpose is to be the light of the world. Now, sometimes when we hear something like that, doesn't it fill you with zeal? Does it?
Yeah.
Maybe not so much on a Sunday morning. Maybe you didn't have a cup of coffee.
Yes.
But yes, right? You're the light of the world. And sometimes the spiritual teachings may seem so simple, yet when we say that, be the light of the world, what the heck does that mean? Well, we know being kind to our neighbor, right? Showing up, sharing our appreciation, doing our good deeds. Those are one ways. Compassionately listening, being the presence, honoring people, choosing to understand and befriend when we don't understand, when we have differences. But I want to go deeper into how to be the light of the world. And we've talked about it, but I want to do more of an introductory lesson. So when we look out at a rainbow, we see many points of light, many shades of light, do we not? Well, co-founder Charles Fillmore, he studied the metaphysics. He was interested in the spiritual meaning of the allegories found within the Bible. And one of the things that he studied was the 12 apostles of the master teacher, Jesus. Not that we can pray to them, to bow to them, for we are to be the light of the world. And what he found, just like people, places, and objects in the biblical narratives, they are meant to be aspects within all of us. And he discovered that each of the 12 were a different principle or point of light, like that spectrum in the rainbow of divine light, our 12 powers, right? We talk about, I just started a couple of months ago, about the power of the month. But Fillmore looked at this in the 1800s, okay? And we can see what? We have our chakra, the invisible points of our centers, spiritual centers within our bodies, and we know that we go out beyond our bodies. And to the left is a simple meridian chart, points within the body. Well, Charles Fillmore, when he introduced this, that the apostles, again, were to be aspects of the Christ light, the Buddha light, the elevated divine consciousness when we are in clarity with the truth of who we are. So when we get to know them, right, the different shades of light, like we now start to do the power of the month, we become first clear of what they are. And then as we journey on our spiritual path, it's not enough to just recite the words, let's all stand, say the affirmation, and light the candle, love ceremony. But they need to move beyond words. Because guess what? You know how John spoke about that woman coming to him who asked for money or a ride, and he said no. And when he walked away, something stirred within him. And then he said, something turned on my brain, into my brain. That goes back to choice. And shifting our consciousness. Who are we? Because all of these powers are always at work. We can never not have them working. Just like this building is wired with electricity, if we do not consciously turn on the lights, they don't work. Or I shouldn't say they don't work, it's humming in a very low vibration, so low you can't even see them. Similarly, our 12 powers are always at work. And our task is to become conscious. How we choose to use the light. How we choose to direct the light. And most importantly, own it, as Lynn Presley will say to me sometimes. To be it, to own it, to know it with every aspect of our being. With the sincerest humility, yet power and courage and confidence. And so, I want to go over those, and many of you who've been coming to Unity for a while may be aware of them, but I would like to review them. So we see up at the top, right here, 3. Let me move this. I can't help. I have to move. And I don't want to block that. So, right here, at the top, we have Apostle Matthew, who represents the principle of will, which is gray, the shade of light of gray. And our will is our power of choice, our determination, our willingness. And then we move on, just below that in our forehead, but just above our third eye, is gold. It is the power of understanding, which is represented by the Apostle Thomas. A power of understanding is what we're doing now. We're trying to comprehend, apprehend, and then eventually intuit and know what our spiritual powers are. And then we move down to the third eye, which is the Apostle Bartholomew, which represents our light of imagination. When we decide on bringing something in manifestation, a vision, a desire, a goal that we have that isn't here, but we energize it with our thought, our feeling nature. We see it to the best of our ability and we live it. That's our power of imagination. And in the center of our head is the Apostle Peter. Faith. That is our conviction with the color of a deeper blue. It is our conviction, our belief. We always have faith. It's what we are placing it in. At one point, John was placing his faith in smallness. And then his conviction was what? Being the good neighbor with his whole heart and soul. And then we go to the back of our head, the base of our head, is Simon the Apostle. That is our light of zeal, our passion, our enthusiasm, our motivation, our inspiration. And then we move to our throat area in the back of our tongue, is Philip, who represents our power, which is also, because it can get power. It is our light of dominion. It is our light of mastery. It is what we must do, practice these spiritual powers, practice playing music, where we become determined. It is our ability to have mastery over our thoughts, our emotions, to be aware of them and then choose. And then we go to our heart space, the Apostle John Pink, which is the light of love. And it is the love, meaning that we harmonize all of our powers, all of our thoughts, our words and actions to our highest consciousness. And then we go to our pit of our stomach. Do you ever say, I have a gut feeling about something? That is the seat of our wisdom, that intuitive hit, that discerning power. I know that these powers, but now I must discern how I use them to the highest and best. And then we go below that, which is olive green, which is our navel area, and that is James of Zebedee, and he represents the light of order, to balance, to flow with the twists and turns. And then we go to the base of our space here, is our power of strength, represented by the Apostle Andrew, and it is the color green. It is our steadfast power, our ability to keep on keeping on. It is our ability to be courageous in spite of what is presented. And sometimes we have challenges that are presented. And then the last two, down here, russet brown, elimination, I don't know, not in matches. It is our power to let go, to relinquish that which does not serve us. In our behavior, John relinquished the smallness, saying no to being a good neighbor. And then our last one in our generative organs is the power of life, which is red, represented by the Apostle Judas. It is the animating power. It is new life as the seasons change, when spring comes. It is new beginnings and our desire to start again and to enliven ourselves. So, this is my desire. It's not enough to know them. A couple months ago, I started talking about the power of the month, the platform people speak of them. And when we either can use them from an awakened consciousness, saying, yes, I am it, or we can do it from a lower, dormant consciousness, right? This light has dimmers, right? We can turn it on. Matt, could you just go back there? We go low, all the way low, right? So when we are in undeveloped consciousness, right, we are using it like when we have our power of order. We cannot flow. We are cluttered. There's chaos. Confusion. Not flexible. And then if we would have our, let's wait 1 second. Well, you can put it to regular. But if we would have a floodlight here, which we don't have, and that's good because, right, that is right. But I'm talking here about like a floodlight, like a police light, right? That's the overdeveloped. And if we're using our power of zeal, well, we could use zeal, but sticking with order, is someone who has to have things just so. Can't bend and twist, can't change. You know, everything is pretty stiff. My way or the highway.
Highway.
Okay? And then when we have our lights like this, even though some of you may not like it, it is like the Goldilocks. It's just right. It is our spiritual consciousness where we are able to, using the example of order, twist and turn with the flow of life. God only knows I get to practice that every Sunday morning. The sound is working, it's not working. If this is not working and it's not working. And this one's not an usher and who's not a word. And then I have to go back to what I want to flow and twist and turn. Yes, we look at how we make things better, but what is my purpose here? It's not about all those details. It is to be the best expression of inspiration to you, to the best of my ability. In all my humanness and all the things that I have go on, nevertheless, here I stand, wanting to the best of my ability to be the light of the world, not for bogus things, because that's what we're supposed to be. That's who you are supposed to be, my friends. That's who you are. And so, we will continue with the Power of Month from the platform, and then once a month, except maybe in the holiday season, like next week, I'm going to focus the whole talk on the power of zeal, so that we get a better understanding, a deeper understanding. And every time I review these, I go deeper myself. So as Orsini says, we always must have beginner's mind. And so I invite you, if you think you know them, to have beginner's mind. And then in the new year, I'd like to do a deeper study into this as in a class. So I'd like to end today. I ask you to have divine audacity, courage, to be the light of the world, to have no separation between the truth you are being taught and living it, as in Principle 5. And I end with these words from the Master that are found in the Lost Gospel of Thomas. There is light within a person because that person is a being of light, and it shines on the world. And if it does not shine, it is dark. Have a blessed, joyful week.